Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Virgo season, Aries sun, moon, and rising. All right, my Aries folks, this is eclipse season. On the bright side, it's the first eclipse season that's completely free from the Aries Libra axis. So you no longer are dealing with eclipses directly on whatever's happening in that house. So it is a time to breathe a nice little sigh of relief. However, this next season, wherever it falls in your chart, is a bit testy. The eclipses are not easy. Even if they're good, they are not simple, and so there's always this level of complexity, and it's important to kind of recognize that without villainizing it. If you want to know more just about the general Virgo energy that's going on this season, you can go check out the video that's linked below for Virgo season. But yeah, it's just a lot's going to happen. We start out with an initial non-eclipse Virgo moon, and then we head into two pretty hefty eclipses, one trine Jupiter, one opposing Saturn. So the benefics and the great benefic and the great malefic doing their thing. So there's this duality, which is just baked into every season because we always have a moon on the other side. So it's a lot, and it feels like it is going to be quite a journey for you. So let's get into our cards. So starting off, we have the Lovers. I love this card in this deck. I love the transness of it all. Um, and it's interesting because you also have the Two of Swords. And this is two, and that is two. The Lovers are also the card of Gemini in the major arcana. That's what not planetary, but the cosmic zodiacal association is. Um, the cards in the major arcana aren't one to one because there's not exactly 12 cards. Some of them are planets. This one is Gemini. So it feels as though this season is very relationship heavy. It's also a reminder that Saturn exits your sign and Neptune is retrograde heading towards its exit during this season. So there's this kind of revolving door type feeling of, some people are staying, some people are going. We're also fresh out of another fire sign, Mercury retrograde, around the earlier degrees of Leo. That Mercury and Venus retrograde at the early degrees of Aries happened earlier this year. I know it feels years ago, but it did happen this year, yes. And so it feels as though relationships and values and friendships are really in flux, especially for fire signs this year. And that's really going to be highlighted in this eclipse journey. It's also about choices. It's about what we choose and decide to do with what we have. Also, you've got a nice little detriment, Mars, for pretty much all of this season. So your ruler's not exactly thrilled. It's not a bad one. It's really justice focused. It really gets into the minutia of right and wrong. However, Mars doesn't want to care about the minutia of right and wrong. Mars wants to react and engage in energy. Bright side, the minute we head over into Libra season right before, we get Mars in Scorpio, which will be really nice for you guys. So just know if you have to hang on by your toenails and fingernails during this eclipse season, there's a really nice Mars cycle coming up for you guys. But it is about relationships and fluctuations in these relationships. So just be aware that nothing is going to be set in stone this season, that you're going to be going through shifts and changes in your relationship dynamics, whether it be friends, families, lovers, partners, all those things. For some of you, I think it is an opportunity to explore types of gender expression and sexual expression. So don't tie yourself down to one idea. Also, here's the deal: mentally exploring or physically exploring something doesn't make you something. The only thing that I would say is, just especially if you're sexually exploring and it's with someone else, that you let them know that it's an exploration, especially if they're on a different portion of their journey. It's just ethical to allow people to know that they're not in a permanent part of your life. It might become permanent later, but there's no harm in exploring. I also tell people, because I'm a very monogamous person, do a mental exercise. Make sure you're not just locked in a box because you never had an option. Now, am I am I not monogamous or poly? No, I don't have the energy for that. I don't have the desire. I have done the mental not gymnastics, but the mental flexing to kind of give myself the opportunity to make those choices if I so chose. Not appealing to me. But I did that, and I think that might be something good for you guys to do. Same with gender expression. Ask yourself, do I have to kowtow to the system? Also, maybe you do identify as a woman, but you would prefer to wear different kinds of clothes. You can do that. Maybe you identify as a man, but you want to wear more feminine things. That's also fine. I just think this is a great time to explore. It's also a great time to not take things seriously. There's some seriousness in these cards. And I think the antidote to that is to recognize that it's a good time to hold things lightly, even though the Lover's card can feel really commitment focused. Remember that it's not about doing something and committing to something, it is about making a choice and accepting what comes after. Part of the reason I'm so heavily focusing on choice is because we do have a Two of Swords. And what I'm coming to find through client work is that the Two of Swords is an active decision making process. When the Two of Swords comes up, I know that there isn't really a fixed destiny here, that this is a moment where a decision is being made, and the person who is doing it, the querent, the person who's asking, is able of making different choices, and they will change the trajectory of their lives and their karma and their past lives and their present lives. And while it can seem big and scary, it is something we do all the time. We're not always aware of it. And this is one of those moments for you. You don't have to take a certain path, but you do need to consider what path is best for you to take. When I do choice readings, I don't go yes or no, good or bad. I go, what are the likely outcomes? What is this job or this decision going to bring to me? And then I let the person across the table from me make the decision based on what they want. Because sometimes they're like, this job is going to be really hard, but really rewarding. Or this job is going to be much easier and simpler for you, but you're not going to get the long term oomph that you're looking for. So I encourage you to approach choices this season as what you want rather than a decision that is good or bad, because sometimes there is no good and there is no bad, and it's just a choice, and you just have to be okay with what happens after you make it. And then we do have Four of Swords, and I'll just tell you this, everything is swords from here on out. Four of Swords, it feels like there's going to be a really active decision making part of your chart, probably those eclipses, but there are other parts of your chart where you really need to take a break. So any area that you can kind of release things, let things kind of cool off a little bit, I would encourage you to take that time and space. The times in eclipse season for you, it's going to be like really wildly active moments and then nothing. And instead of being like, there's nothing happening, I need to make something happen, recognize that you're doing a lot in the moment things are happening, and take some downtime and chill out a little bit and relax and rest and nap and do all the things to take care of yourself you need to, because it's a lot and you shouldn't be going pedal to the metal, especially in eclipse season. And then another reason to kind of take breaks is because people are going to be conflict oriented. A lot of opposing ideas and views. There's going to be a lot of people who are defensive and who are arguing and fighting simply to make themselves feel better about something totally different. You don't have to engage in that. I think one of the bright sides of Mars and Libra is like just not even agreeing to disagree, but being like, you're wrong and I'm not going to argue it, is a completely valid response. You don't need to give everyone the benefit of a doubt. Not everyone deserves a voice in your life. You know, sometimes I get a little heated by like a TikTok video or an Instagram video, and then I realize that this is a stranger, oftentimes with no expertise, speaking out of their living room. And while unfortunately some of them have a lot of influence, it's not fact. And I don't need to fight them on it. And they are choosing this decision and to make this choice to create these types of feelings in people rather than coming from an authentic place. And if it's not from an authentic place, I am not participating. So that may not be your exact situation, but release what you can when it comes to conflict, because some stuff is just going to be for the hell of it. Now, as if you want to, you can also participate in, fighting to relieve stress. Just recognize that that's what you're doing. And then last, but definitely not least, Ten of Swords. It is going to be a lot. It is going to be overwhelming. The choices are going to feel like they're coming too quickly. Know that the universe is going to take some of those choices out of your hands. And while that can feel like too much, know that it's a relief, because then you have less to choose from, which can sometimes be better. So honor the place and space that you are in. Connect to and commit to what you can, but loosely holding that and knowing that everyone's kind of going through it at this time. So support as you can, rest when you can, And when making choices, instead of viewing them as these black and white, kind of set in stone objects, view them as flexible options that we have the honor to choose. And the only thing that's really terrifying is the fact that once we choose, we do have to accept that choice. But there is a beauty in having the power to make choices for yourself. As someone who was not given a lot of choices when I was younger. So while it can be terrifying to be in charge of our lives and to be the only one making decisions, it's also a huge gift and an honor to be able to use intuition and knowledge and desire to choose what we want, even when maybe the situation's not so great. You have the power to change things, and you deserve to make the choices that are best for you. Anyways, my loves, that is my reading for Virgo season for Aries placements or Aries stelliums. I will see you all later. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. You can ask me any questions through DM or in the comments, and I will see you in a different space and time.